global conglomerate Hitachi, in partnership with the Times Network, organized the Hitachi Social Innovation Forum 2016. The forum aimed to address increasingly complex rapid urbanization issues through collaborative creation. On the previous episode, an esteemed panel of speakers discussed the topic Digital Transformation and the Roadmap for India Inc. Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Hitachi Social Innovation Forum 2016. On today's episode, we have a power-packed panel discussing the transition from traditional to digital banking and the challenges and enablers that come along the way.
This promises to be an extremely interesting session because I think that the banking industry, the payments and the way we deal with money is completely changing. Mr. Hota, I want to start with you. Obviously, we're all here talking about this because we have a government right now that's very keen on changing the way we deal with money, whether that is going completely cashless as a country or maybe achieving it to a certain point where we are less cash. Do we want to regulate it to a point where we actually strangulate it? Because industry will keep saying, yes, you've given us licenses, but 47 steps of paperwork to get to actually launching a bank is too many. Tell us what the government is thinking and how the government wants this digi-banking to move forward.
I would really focus my reply questions to payment system. I suppose in the area of payment systems, RBI has been very innovative and very promoting innovation. India is one of the first country to have regulation on mobile banking. The Payments Bank, a special category of banking institution, they have been really coming, now a regulation has come, new institutions are being floated. The Payment and Settlement Systems Act is in place. The netting legislation is in place. The vision documents are coming out every 3 years at regular intervals, clearly indicating what is the regulatory roadmap, what is the supervisory roadmap, what is the roadmap for the building the payments infrastructure and also the customer centricity, the very recent vision document. I do not think regulation stands on the way so far as the payments part is concerned. But if you say, does Reserve Bank regulate a bank within a bank which is pure play digital banking? Can anybody float a bank at any point of time and start operations? Possibly that is an area because it is dealing with people's money. And if it is really has to people's money, the banking regulation has to be really has to be tighter. But as the governor himself says that now the banking license would be on tap, the payment banks would be on tap, BBPS license would be on tap in due course of time. Whether it is right now available, right now not. But I think regulation is
actually
not
on tap. Is that a fair expression? Is it on tap?
We all know that bank licensing has been one of the most calibrated and diligently done activities post-liberalization. We have created very successful large global banks as a part of the process, but there have been few of them. And all of a sudden now in the last year we have differentiated banks and a large number of them, and I think and a roadmap for having more banks licenses on tap. And to some extent it speaks to the way India's economy has evolved in terms of having a very large number of fractured economic enterprise. And I think to address that nature of the economy, probably a licensing regime of this nature is needed. It was probably, in my view, it was probably needed even 20 years ago, but better late than never. One of the things I don't disagree with is the entire 9 years of due diligence while giving a bank license. So I am not somebody who says anybody should apply for a bank, and what's the big deal about a bank? You can go and play with people's lives by giving them bad medicine, so why not give them bad finance? and let them figure that out. So I think the licensing process, the regulatory process are all very important part of the banking infrastructure that we need in any economy for that economy to have long-term sustainability and integrity.
Rajiv, I want to bring you in here when we talk about customer acquisition and retaining that customer. There are two sides to it, obviously. In urban India, it's about making apps and making mobile interfaces that are cool and easy to use. In tier 2, in rural, in semi-urban, it's about actually making things that are simple to use, that where the actual learning curve for the customer is not as steep. What are you focusing on with your own Pocket app? What sort of trajectory, what are the challenges that you're facing right now?
So first of all, I think so what has happened in the last few years is the channels have really grown. The number of channels have increased. Today you can do banking on the social space also. I think so we are looking at how this can be made inclusive in each part of the country, whether it's urban, semi-urban or rural markets. In the urban spaces, obviously interface is extremely important. How do you make things simple is extremely important, and that is where the adoption of mobile channels is growing. If we look at our total number of transactions, total number of banking transactions are growing at 20%. And while it is growing at 20%, mobile in the last 3 years or so has increased its contribution from 3% to 20%. So mobile transactions are growing at few 100% every year. The second thing is, if you go to semi-urban markets, and we are seeing this also in some of the metro locations, that digitization is not only happening through mobile channels, it's also happening in the branches. So we have enabled, smart equipments within the branches where customers can do a complete paperless transactions without even involving our employees. So people who are not comfortable with mobile but are walking to our branches can completely do these paperless transactions in the branches. Similarly, if you go to the rural markets, we did this experiment, and now we are taking it to more villages. In a village in Gujarat, in Akodara, we made it completely cashless by allowing even the small merchants to transact using an SMS.
Are you expecting the use of ATMs and cards? I know it's an expensive prospect for most banks to run, but are you expecting the use of ATMs and cards to progressively come down over time?
Not for cards.
In
fact, if I look at, which channels are growing the most after mobile, it is not internet, but it is cards.
I want to bring in, the voice from SBI, because you told me anecdotally that you said you'd be surprised where people demand cards, from which parts of the country we're getting demands for ATMs and for cards.
Yeah, I think when it comes to ATM, these days the situation is that if at all you open a branch in an upcountry location with a very limited population, and if you don't put up an ATM, it's a cause of complaint. So that has become the kind of a banking habit, what I would say. Using the ATM card has become a banking habit because as far as the cash economy is concerned, it is still very much strong as far as upcountry locations are concerned. But going forward, of course, we confronted with situation like this, and we immediately took up the initiative of providing POS and with various traders across the country. And happy to share that we have scaled up our operations substantially, and these cards are being used at those POS machines. It has become a part and parcel. When we open an account, issue a passbook, it is expected that we must provide them a card, also ATM card, whether it is an urban location like Bombay, Delhi, or maybe something like Bastar or anywhere else.
So I think what we're arriving here, Jayant, and I know this is going to make you happy, that demands for ATMs are not going to dry up in this country, is that it's not about one channel replacing the other, like happens in most other technologies. We're actually, like Rajiv said, adding more channels, and they will all coexist to create a wider playground for the entire banking industry.
I think the critical aspect about ATMs is that it has taught the average Indian what I will call the man-machine interface. The prior interface was that they had to stand in front of a human. That interface has moved. I don't think ATMs can claim that they are going to make the mobile man interface, and we are not responsible for that. But I think if you see the data which has been there for several years, if you see the RBI payment systems indicators, you will see that there is an increase over last year to 708 crore ATM transactions. And today on ATMs, we dispense 44 lakh crores of rupees. But those payment systems indicators, if you see, you will see a huge increase in IMPS. You will see a phenomenal increase in RTGS and NEFT. So there is a shift, and that shift you cannot ignore, that people are getting comfortable with a different way of doing business, with a different technology of business. For Indians, we need to believe in that.
I just want to bring in Sumit right now. On the point of man and machine, he has an app that people are voting on. Sumit?
Thank you for that, Faye. Ladies and gentlemen, time for the audience poll. And this one, again, is, as the theme of the day is, it revolves around digital. So may I request you again to pull out your smartphones. If you can go to the app, HSIF 2016 India app. The first question for this session: has technology been adopted effectively to achieve the transition from traditional banking to digital banking? Choose yes or no and tap on submit. I'm sure, Faye, you would love to take their view on the question as well.
Rajiv, you were going to say something.
I was just saying that while all these things are true, there are some changes also which are happening. Just to give you a sense, today we open more branches in non-metros than we open in metros. Right. Two, if you look at the cards, while cards are growing, a lot of these cards are becoming digital cards. Like on our Pockets app, you don't need to carry physical cards. You will see all your cards there, and you can pay using an NFC terminal. So cards will become more digital, but cards will still grow.
Sumit, you have an answer on
I have the poll results, so I will jump in for a second. 76.32% say yes, while 23.68% are saying no. So a majority of the audience does believe that technology has been adopted to effectively transition. If anybody has a question.
When do we leapfrog into the global market of the payments, like payments gateway like Visa and MasterCard? When do we produce someone from India?
In 2012, the RuPay card, the domestic card network started. And as per the global experience, many countries had started the domestic card payment system. Only 2 countries it has been able to survive. One is China, because of heavy hand of the government supported, and the other is India. India without the government support, without mandating. And today, in terms of number of cards issued, the RuPay card is #1. It has overtaken Visa and MasterCard. Now the market share of RuPay is 37%.
It's time now for a short break. The panel discussion on digital banking continues on the other side. We'll be right back.
When have you ever seen so much of DBT movements of money happening? What has happened in the last 1 year? Have you ever experienced this in the last 5 years when it was introduced?
Welcome back. You're watching the Hitachi Social Innovation Forum 2016. Digital banking in India is making quite an impact. The panelists at the event shared some more of their thoughts on the transition from traditional to digital banking.
When we compare again India to the globe, we're currently turning into one of the most interesting markets for banking in the entire globe, aren't we?
The interesting thing is that technology innovations speak to their time as well. So if you look at Europe or America today, which are high card economies, high acquiring, you can take your card for whatever, $2, $1. That's result of a certain technology and the proliferation of it, and then the consumer habit, and then a certain demographic and all of that. What is left to be done is a really big task, and that task is really to see in an economy like India, which still has a very large number of people that do not have the mobile, the M in JAM, the mobile is a feature phone for a large number of people and without data, and the Aadhaar is the underpinning of that whole infrastructure. The reason a lot of poor don't access formal financial services across India, Africa, Latin America, and poor economies of the world is not so much only because of lack of availability, but also because the design of products is not good enough for the poor to access. So if something has to come out of India that has to be revolutionary for the world, it has to address that problem.
When CIBIL started, I remember having a conversation with them, and they said the problem with the Indian banking system is that some people have PAN cards, some people have passports, some people, and given that it's India, apparently the name Vijay Kumar is the most common name in India, and you'll have a Vijay Kumar with a passport, a different Vijay Kumar with a PAN card, and we didn't have one ID. And CIBIL really crossed its fingers on the Aadhaar card saying, maybe this will be it. Is this it? Or are we still, walking down, like Srinji said, multiple routes?
See, I feel that, sometimes we become too impatient. We are not looking at the changes which are happening. Look at the banking system, the way it has been growing. Even in difficult times when the world is not growing, you're growing at 15% plus. When you talk about moving through
that because we're impatient?
No, yeah, it's true, and there's nothing, nothing wrong in pushing the envelope, but let's not forget the changes which have come in the whole system. When have you ever seen so much of DBT movements of money happening? What has happened in the last 1 year? Have you ever experienced this in the last 5 years when it was introduced? Look at how people are talking about opening accounts just with eKYC. When was it ever thought of? When was it ever happening? Look at, while we may say that we should allow more things to happen, but our growth is the highest as far as mobile transactions are concerned. And our losses are the least across the globe. You're the best on transactions, you have the least losses, you're growing very well, and we are saying that the system is not working.
Is that enough though?
I don't think so. So, no, see, you can say we have a large number of underbanked people, but look at the change or the number of accounts which have got opened. So we can keep criticizing and saying that things are not.
But I think the point is that we have done well, but we're still at base camp.
Yeah, we should ask for more. But let's not say that, probably our growth has been the highest across the globe. Let's see how we can make it better, but also make it, keep it safe, which is extremely important.
But Rajiv, there is just 1 minute.
Okay. Go.
The issue that I may want to, I'll just give you a scenario. It is about timing infrastructure also. We've gone with DBT, which I like, I love it. There is huge number of Jan Dhan cards there and savings. However, rural India is not, there is a large portion of rural India, but there is consumption. So when I say timing of infrastructure, and this is completely looking at it from, Hitachi and ATM specification. So we are required to put an infrastructure to meet a current immediate demand of DBT and Jan Dhan, which is phenomenally huge. 18.5 crores in 1.5 year of Jan Dhan and 14,000 crores of just LPG delivers a large number of currency requirement immediately. Because unfortunately, at this instant, you don't have, or we don't collectively have a trustworthy alternate mechanism of taking that 14,000 crores and exchanging it for goods and services. Apart from other cost issues and MDR and transaction costs. I'm just talking about just timing. So here is a bank, and State Bank of India is included, as much as all of the other banks like yourselves, that you need to go and put an infrastructure that unfortunately because of the capex lasts you for 15 years. So in the next 3 years, when this revolution actually becomes a revolution, there is an asset sitting on the books of all of us that really now is a loss-making infrastructure because of the timing. That's all my comment is. And I completely agree with you from our impatientness is that एक बार पैसा आ गया account में तो somebody wants the cash immediately.
2 years down the line or 3 years down the line, what do you think is going to be the big changer or the big game changer in, in banking, in money, in just the way Indians deal with their money?
I would say, briefly, I would say really money transfer should be like email, like WhatsApp. So it should be easy, more and more such services should be made available by banks. Now the payment banks are coming, possibly they will come out with a radically different...
Is the WhatsApp moment likely?
I suppose
Would RBI be able to sleep at
yes,
night with a
I
WhatsApp
suppose,
type of system?
because it will seep into our lives so slowly that we would not realize.
Are the millennials the route to, to digitizing all of India?
I've taken too much of your time. I'll give you a one-word answer to that question. Paytm.
Anybody else wants to?
No, I think everyone's got the doomsday out for me, so cash is going to die. But I just want to leave some thoughts with people that, in 1999 when Boo.com was the first .com that came out, I used to work for NCR. At that time, everyone said in the US, which used to have 175,000 ATMs, that everyone will do their business on the internet and ATMs would die. I took it literally. I left NCR and went to an e-commerce company that went bust. And today, America has got 450,000 ATMs.
Dinesh?
I would say that I think you don't have to worry much because it's a very wide spectrum which is there for the banking industry to serve. And we have all kind of customers in this spectrum. All kind of banking habits are there. Some people will continue to use cash only.
I think so. The only thing which I'd like to add here is I think so a lot of these things will exist. But what will change definitely is the time taken to do any of these things will dramatically drop. So we'll have hopefully more time for entertainment than for doing mundane things.
I want to thank the lady and the gentleman on the panel for spending time with us. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And that's a wrap on this episode of the Hitachi Social Innovation Forum 2016. Next week, we'll bring you a panel discussion on the importance of a robust IT infrastructure for businesses in today's fast-paced environment. Goodbye for now and many thanks for watching.